So let's talk a little bit about information, knowledge, and wisdom. So mental content at the crudest level is just information, and at this level, the mind is just utter chaos, basically. Vast amounts of information have been fed into the mind since the beginning of education. So, with the faculties of intelligence, observation, and logic, we filter this collection of pieces of information, this vast collection of pieces of information that have been fed into us, into knowledge. Because there are certain pieces of information which are bullshit. For example, the belief that LSD can help you fly. People have been known to believe that they can fly on LSD. Another ridiculous bullshit belief is the belief that clay idols are God. Profound ignorance. So, when you apply a certain degree of common sense, logic, observation, and intelligence to the collection of information that is in your mind, you extract knowledge from the information that you have been fed. So, knowledge is at a practical level just what works. That's the simplest definition of knowledge. That which works is knowledge from a pragmatic point of view, from a practical, everyday, relevant point of view. But that is just sufficient to help us survive, the practical approach to knowledge. But human nature is such that we are not satisfied with merely practical knowledge. We want to know the nature of reality just for the sake of knowing the nature of reality. So research goes ever deeper through the phenomenon of curiosity and the desire to know for the sake of knowing. So if we go beyond the practical definition of knowledge, which is that which works, knowledge becomes a much more subtle phenomenon. What do we know for sure? There are a lot of things that we do not know for sure, but which we believe in order to pacify our sense of fear that arises from the deep knowledge that we are actually deeply ignorant of what is really going on here. And at a deeper level than knowledge is wisdom. Because not all knowledge is necessary knowledge, not all knowledge is useful knowledge, not all knowledge contributes to our well being. For example, knowing the year in which the Battle of Waterloo took place is of very little relevance at best to us, to our well being as modern day human beings. Or knowing some statistic like number of wickets Rahul Dravid has taken is of no consequence whatsoever in the goal of creating well being for humanity. So, wisdom is a further level of filtering applied to the collection of knowledge in order to derive those pieces of knowledge which are most valuable for our well being as a whole. So, for example, taking a crocin heals a headache is wisdom, but the history of crocin, for example, is just knowledge which has no necessary, which does not necessarily have relevance to the fact that crocin heals a headache. So, knowledge which is absolutely crucial to our well being is wisdom, basically. For example, putting our hand in the fire hurts is a piece of wisdom. It's also a piece of knowledge, but it's also a piece of wisdom because it's directly relevant to our well being. So the three levels of the mind are basically information, knowledge, and wisdom. And there are levels, there are filters between information and knowledge and wisdom. And these filters are basically the tools of intelligence, sense, meaning, and logic. So enlightenment is basically the transcendence of wisdom, even because wisdom is still at the level of the mind. It's still a collection of thoughts. And enlightenment is that which is realization of and connection with that which is beyond thought. So wisdom is the finest level of intellectual development that the human being goes through before the human being attains enlightenment. Basically, in school we begin with information largely. Reproducing information is what is expected of us in school. And in later years, in college, in early university, what is expected is knowledge. But as we go deeper into life, we see that we require wisdom more than anything else to live a joyous life. So that so the process of maturing or growth is the graduation from information to knowledge to wisdom, and ultimately to go beyond wisdom, which is enlightenment.